welcome to Spain. Buen verano, Tanya.
Ooh, or Feliz Verano. I don't know which one's right.
I don't either. I've heard both. I don't know if one means hello and one's goodbye in the summertime. I don't know, but
I feel like both are very acceptable.
I don't think we'd be I
So
don't think we'd be kicked out of a bar for saying either,
I don't
right?
think so. I think they both seem friendly. So whichever one it is, we're here to talk about the summer. So yay, it is
Do you have
about
an
summer.
Spain for us?
I do. So I did a very Spanish thing, which was to leave Spain in the summer, at least the southern part, which a lot of my friends do. A lot of them will leave and go north. I think a lot of people in the city leave and go actually to where we live in the mountains. They have houses up there very close. We went to England for a few weeks and well, we're having a heat wave, so it is hot. And what we don't have here is air conditioning, so it's actually worse, I think.
I hate to be rude, but I might have to turn my air conditioning down. It's a little chilly in here right now.
Yeah, I know, right? We went to the local shop and got like these fans, and Zena got one of those fans that has the water in it, and now we're all jealous.
Oh.
So now we have to go back and we all have to get those. So it's bearable. It's not as hot as it was, but when we got off the plane here, I was like, this is not cooler at all. So it probably will be like later in the week, but yeah.
But England isn't doesn't have the infrastructure for heat, right? So like in Spain it's hot, but everything's air conditioned and you learn to deal with it, but like the subway, I'm assuming it's probably not air
Let me
conditioned
just
in
tell you
England.
how delightful the underground is. Oh my gosh. I was just like, you just have to go with it. It smells like a fresh orange field down there, you
Sure it
know.
does.
And you're just sitting there and then all the windows are open in the underground, so it's so loud like it hurts your ears,
Right.
because those trains just like scrape, I think, across the wall or something. um
Yes.
yeah, so it's not been so pleasant, but it's been fun, so I can't complain. But it's funny that we got here and it was like, oh my god, it's so hot.
We're
um
escaping the heat only to have brought it with us.
I know, and the reason why people come up to like the mountains and Naka and something from Valencia, which is only like 25 minutes away, is because they have a house with a pool there. So if you get hot, you just go jump in the pool. We don't have any of that here in England. So I mean, I'm sure other people in England do, but it's not the norm. So we're
Right.
just, cold drinks and fans.
Well, it is about 10 degrees Fahrenheit hotter here in the city right now. I did check.
Mm.
So, but this episode is about how we survive our Spanish summers, and one of the ways is to escape the heat and leave the country, which obviously doesn't always work, as we're finding out.
Doesn't always work, but it's hard to complain. I think obviously a lot of people come to Spain in the summer, so they are
Mhm.
coming from colder places, or so there's a lot of people going that way and the other people going this way, and it's funny. So we'll just have a little chat about the things that are going on in the city, because for you and I think generally we just love being there, really, and there's lots
Right.
to do. And do you want to jump in, because you're in the city and there's a lot more going on there, but we sometimes have little versions of it outside of the city, so we're all having fun.
Right. I mean, the Spaniards love their summer. I was well, they love all the months, I think, right?
I think so.
But right now we're in July, so the city itself, and I think lots of cities and towns throughout Spain do this, but in Valencia right now it's the Gran Feria, which is this big kind of month-long fair, but it's really kind of a month-long citywide celebration, and there's music festivals and there's a carnival and parades, and you're not going to believe this, so I hope you're sitting down. They have fireworks as well
No.
through. Yes, they do.
No festival in Spain would be without a pyrotechnic, some sort of display, or
No,
two, or 10.
no Tuesday in Spain, in Valencia, is without fireworks. But like what they do, they have like a jazz festival that starts in the middle of June and goes through the month of July, and some of these tickets are free and they can go up to like $35. And these concerts that they have around the city, they have this jazz festival, and then in the Viveros Gardens, which is they also call them the Royal Gardens, which is,
Hmm.
I don't know if you knew this, there used to be a royal palace here that was torn down in like the 1800s at some point.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
but we can do a poco about the history of that, because I
I
don't know
think
all
we
of it right now.
should.
So I'm just going to end
Yeah.
it. There's some palace ruins there, but they set up a big stage there, and they have more international bands. Like I was looking,
Hmm.
even the Human League. Remember them from back in our
Oh my
youth?
gosh.
Yeah,
Wow.
and Simple
Yeah.
Minds. They're coming to this
Well,
summer.
and UB40 was going on in some place in London close to where I was as well. So
Oh,
I don't
nice.
know. It's like very 80s going on. But we
Very.
also, I will say, and I think a lot of the difference between the city, obviously, and where I live in Nakada is that, we have the outdoor concerts and these things. The city puts a lot of effort into doing summer events. But obviously, to your point, the people showing up and doing it's going to be a very different crowd, a very different, not the crowd, a very different musician and band that's going to show up in a small place like Nakara than what you're going to get in the city. So even if it is
Right.
music from the 80s, it's going to be the big bands from the 80s.
And not to disparage our city, because I love our city, but I'm sure Madrid is getting better entertainment than we're getting in Valencia too, right?
Well, possibly, but I will say, and I don't know if you noticed, like when we first moved here, Jawad and I were just getting such a kick out of when we were driving around and on the radio, it's just 80s music. And we were
Hmm.
just like, remember when, and this we're talking like the main radio stations that are playing all the music. You got Dua
Hmm.
Lipa, and then you've got some 80s thing going. It's like 90% 80s music. They love that here. So it was
Right.
such a it was such a like back in time for us, and initially we got quite a kick out of it, and I was like, "Where's the modern music, please?"
Right.
But it's
I
quite fun,
think
so I'm not surprised.
I think there's several like kind of 80s, 90s music festivals here
I'm
throughout the year.
sure.
I feel like I'm always seeing posters, or maybe they just haven't taken down the same poster, but I feel like
No,
I
no,
see
no.
this a lot.
I'm
and
sure. I'm sure they are. Yeah.
and so they in this festival they also have like a giant carnival with like rides and cotton candy and prizes for the month. um and then what also is really cool about this is, so it like lasts the whole month, and every Saturday there's fireworks and stuff, and it opens on July 1st, and they do
Hmm.
that kind of opening of this whole citywide celebration in the town square. And they're going to have like aerial acrobatics, and I think a piano coming down from the sky, and then fireworks. So
That's awesome. And can you actually, are those like the mascletas where you just really can't get close, or is it a little like there's less people in the city in July maybe, and you can actually see some of these things if you go, or do you have to show up, do you think, like hours before to even get close to seeing that?
because so many people have already left the city, it's not like the Mascletas like during Fias and stuff where there's just all these people coming in. This kind of July fest was started like 140 years ago, I think.
Hmm.
And it's grown into this thing to keep people in the city and try to bring people into the city when they're already leaving, right? So the crowd
Right.
is less. And so I don't think you're going to be blocks away, and it is a night show.
Hmm.
So I think it's more approachable. Is that the word
Yeah.
I'm looking for?
Well, and that kind of appeals to me. So I might have to come down when I get back and see some of this, because I do love a festival that isn't insane. But then I do also feel bad that you want more people there to make it worth having. So you don't want it
Right.
to be too quiet. But can you tell me what the Battle of the Flowers is? Do you know?
Yeah, so that's kind of the official close to the July festivities.
Okay.
And it takes place on the Alameda Plaza, um,
Okay.
where you and I once had bocadillos and crudmayet. That and
Oh,
that right
down
over
there.
there.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
And they block off this area, and it's quite a long area, and these horse-drawn wagons
Hmm.
go in a loop, and all the Fieras are dressed up in their Fiera outfits on these things, and they're like they're like 7-8 rows of seats on these wagons. They're
Is
quite
it like a
large.
float, kind of like
Yeah,
a?
like a float.
Does
Yeah.
it resemble the Rose Parade in any way whatsoever in
Not
Pasadena,
in any way,
where they're
shape, or
making
form.
things out of flowers?
No, not that,
No.
because we went to it last year. They're just kind of like on these like kind of bleacher seats on these wagons, kind of
Oh, I
thing. Like
see.
they're
Okay.
tiered, and they all have like paddles and tennis rackets and things like that. And then the audience has marigolds, and they have marigolds, and you're
Oh,
throwing them at them, and they're trying to hit them back at the audience with all
no
these
way, that's so
marigolds. And there's like
fun.
thousands and thousands of these flowers flying. And then when it's all over, the whole street is just orange
Oh,
yellow
that's
with
so
all the petals.
beautiful.
It's so gorgeous and amazing. And I'll be honest, completely pointless, and I love it. I
I
don't
love a
know that.
pointless parade.
Yes.
That
And
sounds
it
really
goes in
fun though.
circles. It
Yeah,
just
yeah.
keeps going
Oh, wow.
around and around and around, and these
Oh
big
my
horses,
gosh.
like Clydesdale type horses and stuff. So it's very cool. But when it was done, we went to it last year. The girls were like, "What was the point?" Now a Spaniard might write in and tell me the point, but I mean, I'm not saying I don't love it, but that
I
kind
think
of
it sounds
closes
fun.
it down.
Yeah, I think
And
that
then
sounds really fun. And then we have the in Valenciano the Gran Nit de Juliol or the La Gran Noche, which is the big night. So I mean, look, this is Spain, okay? Any one of the days of this festival is going to feel like the grand night of a regular festival in any other country except maybe
right.
Brazil. But they have a grand night, a big night in the middle. I think it's somewhere in the middle where they really have brought sort of they really pump up the things that are happening and the schedule
The
there. And it's
energy.
like
Yeah.
workshops and circus shows and jazz and music and children's musicals, storytelling and like Valencian folklore things. And then of course, just because you have to, I've never heard this word before, but I love it. It's my new favorite word. Pyro musical
Yes.
shows.
Fireworks are set to music. Yes. So it all
That
goes.
I just love that. Yeah, it sounds like that also sounds like a fun night, but it does sound like there's other things going on throughout the Gran Feria that
If you
competes
want
with
to
that
avoid,
time wise. Yeah.
yes, if you want to avoid those kinds of crowds or those festivities, the city is still the city, and it has all the other ways to escape the heat. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you still have in the city, you still have the oceanographic, which is a wonderful place because it's our aquarium, and so much of it is inside that.
I love the
Oh
oceanographic. It's not a
yeah.
cheap thing if you got sort of more than one or
No.
two kids. I think it's not a cheap thing,
Yes.
but you can legitimately spend the whole day there.
Yes.
So that I think, and then right opposite that is one of the biggest malls, the Salas Mall, and that is obviously also air conditioning, shopping, restaurants. You can eat there, coffee shops. Your kids. They actually have some cute kids stuff there, which I think they have they have the cars that they can rent if your kid is like
Yeah, they're
really
like little
little.
remote control
Uh,
cars that you throw your kid on, and then
uh-huh.
then you
Isn't
yeah.
it the cutest thing? And they're like driving these little cars around. I think it's so cute.
Hmm.
And I think they have a little playground in there too. It's probably quite small. But that is literally right across as well. So,
It's right across.
and
And then also at the City of Arts and Sciences, in those pools, the pools that are
mm-hmm,
right there that it looks like
yeah,
they're sitting in, they have water things there, like little boats you can rent, and these
true.
like
Yeah,
big
yeah, yeah,
balls
yeah.
that you can like. I'm not going to do the ball thing where you get in it and they blow it up around you and you walk on the
Oh
water
my
like a
gosh.
hamster.
You're not going to do that?
No.
I've always wanted to do that. I've seen them do that. I think they do it at Glastonbury and maybe or some other festival in England but they're literally throwing you down a hill, which I was
Oh,
not
I'm definitely
willing.
going to do that.
But over the water, maybe the other thing, the oceanographic that I love is they have really great 3D movies, like really, really cool ones. And they're like maybe
You
30
mean at the
minutes, 45
hemisphere
minutes at the
or
hemisphere. Yeah. So I know, but in the arts and sciences, sorry. So in the hemisphere
right?
part of the arts and sciences, they have these amazing, and they're really for little kids. You can pick any language you want. You'll get a headset with the language, and then you're
Okay,
watching,
I
and the
did not know
glasses.
that.
Really? Oh my God, I'm so sorry I
We've
didn't tell
avoided it
you.
because I mean I love an IMAX experience, but we've been avoiding it because I thought
No,
everything was going to
amazing.
be in Spanish. Oh, you get individual
Mm-hmm.
headphones?
So, I mean, I'm
Oh,
not
well,
sure it's all language, but they got to be covering English, Spanish, French, German, probably
Italian.
Chinese, Italian.
Yeah.
They got to be covering most of the languages. And I mean, whatever your kids are in or whatever you're into, they have like the space ones, they have the ocean ones. I mean, literally everything. And I'm sure they have some variety that comes and goes, but that's a great, really educational also, but in a fun, really, really fun way to spend time.
Well, I think I know what we're doing this week. Thank you for that. You could have told me that one a little sooner.
Well,
I probably
I've
could have
been a couple
researched
of
it myself.
times. But it's one of those things. There's so much going on in the arts and sciences, like you just said, that it's hard to know. They got the free concerts, like on the Turia. I mean, there's concerts
Hmm.
everywhere. There's things going on. And I haven't done this, but one of the things that I want to do is rent a bike and ride down the Turia on like one of those kinds of days.
I would do that with you. I would definitely do that with you.
Oh, good. Okay, excellent. That's what it's something,
Maybe not in the heat of July. I might want to do that more in late September.
Well, I'm thinking if you get enough speed, you might get the wind. But, maybe not.
You're building the energy in your body.
Well, speaking of movies, there's lots of places to go see movies. And if you do need to, if you're not practicing your Spanish and you need to see them in English, if you just look for the VOS or VOSE, like VOSE or VOS next to the name of the movie, and you can find ones that are in the original version, which if the American movie's in the original version. So.
And little side tip to that, if you're looking up on like Google Maps, they put it as standard with subtitles, just so you know, or subtitles in Spanish. They don't use the VOSE on Google Maps. Just a little side tip.
Yeah, I mean, we have sort of one movie theater that we usually go to. So in Heron City, which is like just outside of the city, I mean, you probably need a car really to get there if you don't want to use like a bus and a train and a bus. But they have like a bowling alley, a movie theater, and then it's all restaurants. So that from an outside of the city sort of situation, that's probably one of our kind of, air conditioning things to do, because you can go see a movie, go bowling, go to one of those arcades.
I would say outside the city, there's a lot of other exciting things to do to beat the heat that we don't have in the city, because we don't really have bowling alleys in the city, and we don't have like big water parks. We have pools in the city that are kind of like mini water parks, and you can rent a cabana for the day for very inexpensive, for like a couple euros, and they'll have like water slides, and maybe one will have like kind of a wave pool, but it's not a huge, massive water park. Like I think there's one down in Culera.
In Culera there's a water park. I think there's some a bit closer to that as well, because Culera is maybe 45 minutes south of the city. But that's a big one that we've visited, and it was amazing. And we actually, I don't know if I should tell this hack to people or not. Do I want other people to take advantage of this? If you go on like the first day that it opens, which I think is possibly a weekend before school ends, and it's before tourists come and everything, it's really nice. Like really nice. Like, there's not that many people there. You got the whole park to yourself. There's no lines on any of the things. It's like really, really nice. So if you do live here and you want to go, take advantage of that, I think the earlier you go to water parks when they first open in the summer is like really, really good. Because obviously once the summer gets going, everybody's there, which is also fine, but it's a whole other thing. Obviously we have our own pools out in the country, so that's a really nice way to cool off, and a nice advantage. But also the other thing that's out here is these, I guess you would call them country clubs, essentially. The price of them is nothing like the country clubs in America, So they have pools, they have nice restaurants, they've got sort of enclosed space. So one of the beautiful things about that, they have paddle tennis courts, playgrounds for the kids, basketball courts, football courts. So if you know somebody or you're close and you're a member of one of those out in the country, one of the beautiful things when I first moved, and Zena was like 8, and so she was old enough to run around on her own. But I mean, you've got all the kids are just, the parents are doing the eating and having a nice drink and enjoying the restaurant and just hanging out and having a really nice afternoon. And then the kids are just all running around by themselves. And it's like, yeah, go have fun. Like you're not going anywhere. It's great.
So when you say these country clubs, are there more like, I guess more like a social club versus like, because when I think of country club, I think of golf course, like a huge kind of a more bigger thing. Isn't my English so good since
Your English is so super.
I'm losing my English having lived in Spain for so long.
I hate that you start losing your English before your Spanish gets good enough to brag about it, right? Some of them have golf courses, but if you imagine a country club without the golf course, it's kind of like that. So that's a lot of them. But there are ones with golf courses, and I think that would be a different scenario with the kids. I think some of these other ones that are more like they have a restaurant and they have some ground space and they have pools and sporting activities, facilities, and these sorts of things. And everyone's a member. So your kids just go and run around with all the other kids. And it's like you don't have to worry about them. And some of these kids, I mean, this is Spain, so I mean, kids are involved in everything, and they're hanging around and they're doing stuff with the family. And some of these kids are like 4 or 5 years old, and they just get taken by the older kids to go do stuff, and the older
Right.
kids take them to the playground, and it's just a whole. It's a really, really nice environment. And then they also have the pools. So when we first moved here, we didn't have a pool, and we had a friend that was a member of one of those clubs, and we would go there and use the pool and hang out, and it's just really, really chill. And obviously this sort of thing, you need a car. So the benefit of having in the summer of having a car is you are moving in air conditioning from one place to another, and enjoying
Right.
that, obviously, but it's a lot
Rub
more
your
chill.
country life in my face with your air conditioning cars and your bowling alleys and your country clubs. Wow.
And then you're rubbing the fairy air in my face. So it's like you have a lot of activity in the city and a lot of things to do, but in the country, it's more, I would say it's more sort of pool oriented. If you don't have a pool, a friend has a pool. But if you have a pool, everyone's
Right.
coming to your pool. Or if your kids want to do something, you're going to someone's house with a pool. I mean, that's just kind of what's happening, which is kind of nice.
We had talked about, I think we had talked about this before. Maybe it was just you and I having a conversation. There is a go-kart place, and I think we had mentioned that. And I walked by it the other day, and we're going without the kids because it's like double decker. Like it looks like,
is it really?
Yeah. Like it goes up and down and over the tracks, and like it's
so
really
as
cool.
you're going on the track, you go up and down, or you have to pick the up and the down.
No, it goes up and then like it does a loop,
Oh
and then you
my
go down and
God.
does a loop. Yeah. So
As people that
And-
listen to us regularly might be able to gather, we're not competitive with each other at all. So this will not end badly, right?
No.
This may be our last podcast. Stay
So
tuned.
nice thing, please still hit subscribe. Our children will need the inheritance.
That's true. Well, they will have disowned us for not taking them, so that whole situation has fallen apart too. So this is just going really, really badly.
True.
I do want to do that. That sounds like a really fun thing to do. I'm on board for that for sure.
I think we have to. The kids
Yeah.
will be in school. They'll never even have to know.
Yeah,
They'll
that's
never
true.
even have to know.
Yeah.
When they go back to school, we do it.
That's true. So I will say, like, one of the things that I love in the summer is paddle tennis. And that is there are indoor paddle courts, but a lot of them are not air conditioned. So they might have big fans. And I haven't really experienced a lot, but the one place I did go to was not air conditioned. So I can't say that's the case for everywhere, but it is very much an outdoor sport, even though you're playing in a court that has walls. Most of the courts are outside, and that is one of the lovely things about it during the winter, right? Because it's nice to do that outside. And in the summer, I will say my paddle tennis kind of goes like, I don't really do that much of it. But so those sort of outdoor activities that we have the other part of the year it's just too hot, really.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about us having this fair in the city, and they have it to keep people in the city because it is so hot. So even when we're walking around the carnival, it is a little sweltering, and it does, like the actual fair, the carnival thing doesn't even open till 6:30 at night. So it's not even open during.
I was gonna ask, like, all these outdoor festivals and outdoor like concerts. I mean, definitely where we are, they're happening in the evening. Like, they're not trying to do these things at midday.
No.
I think that would be quite miserable for everybody involved.
I mean, I feel like you've really experienced siesta in the summertime, because in the wintertime, people, I feel like they're still out. There are shops in the center open. People are enjoying their siesta break from work and getting things done. I swear, once mid-June rolls around, between those siesta hours, the streets are dead. People are at the cafes, but it's no one's out and about, right?
And you understand why, right? You're like, now I get it.
Yes, because it can be quite hot.
That makes sense.
And the other, I was going to say something else that I like that they do, and we at the City of Arts and Sciences, and this goes on kind of the end of July, but I think they do it through certain times throughout the year, or ongoing at times throughout the year, I guess sporadically. I don't know the word I'm looking for. But there's the Berklee College of Music from Boston has a campus here at the City of Arts and Sciences, and they do these free concert series, and they have a stage set up on the lake, and or the like the pools that they have there, and then it's
Yeah.
where there's also this big grassy knoll area, so people come out at night and they bring their picnic baskets and their
Oh,
blankets,
that's
and
lovely.
kids are running around, and the I can call them kids because I'm very old, but these adult aged young people who are going to the College of Music are performing there. So it's very lively, and you hear this fresh new music from unknowns. So that's
That's
a
very
really
cool.
nice thing to do.
Yeah, and they run from April to July and then September to October. So they're also skipping August. And I mean, so just to put a little bit of a pin in the August thing, I mean, they've done all these festivals, and most of these things are happening in July. With the, we also have museums to go visit. There's lots of great museums in Valencia. Does everything close? Do you think the museums are closed in August, or do you think
So
this stuff's
August is
open?
my favorite time to be in the city because all of those things are open and there's no one here. So the city
Mm,
to me in August feels like you got like a pass to Disneyland when it closed.
right.
Like there's because all the residents have like kind of like
They've
not
all
all
fled.
obviously, but they've all fled. And if there's not a lot of tourists, and if there are, I wouldn't know because so many residents have fled that you don't notice a crowd, right? Like there's no
Yeah.
cars on the street. It's very, I mean, all the stores are open now, mind you. Some stores like the mom and pops in the neighborhoods will be closed for a week or two, or
And some of the
closed for 4 day
restaurants,
weekends, and
they'll
some of the
close.
restaurants, but not for the whole month. You're not in the city. I don't know what it's like in the suburbs in the countries, but they'll be closed for a short amount of time. But there's things that are still going on. You have to adjust your schedule. But the museums are open, and it's such a wonderful time to go because they're really empty. So you really have these places to yourself.
Yeah, like
So.
I mean, to me, that is the favorite. So again, like people seem to not come to certain places because it's going to be hot, but you're not getting the benefits of being in a city where everybody has, not everybody, but so many people have gone that you actually can feel the less amount of people. You can feel it. You can see it as you're
Mm-hmm.
walking around, right? And it's so
Mm-hmm.
delightful. I would say where we are is the complete opposite because guess where they're going?
To the mountains, to
To the
their summer
mountains.
cottage.
Yes, to their little house that has a pool. So from where we live goes from, it's very funny. So from where we live, it goes from like we get like 30,000 extra people in the summer.
Okay.
So
So
but
like
what
doubles or triples the
it
town
probably
size.
quadruples the town size. But what happens, which is great, is that means that our consume supermarket is now open on Sundays. Like the
Mm,
opposite happens, which is we start to have things open more as opposed to open less.
gotcha.
So we have a situation in August where our little town starts looking like Valencia, which is really funny, where everywhere else is dead, and we're like, we can't park on the street outside our house. Like it just starts to be like everyone's having
Wow. Okay.
parties. Like it's just everyone's up. And in here in Spain for sure, like if you have a house in a place like where we live, it's like you don't just come yourself, your whole family comes with you. So it's just
Hmm.
extra people. And we have a festival, I've mentioned this before, we have a festival in August that goes through like 2.5 weeks in August, where they do these sorts of things in the city as well. So in the town and in our urbanization and other urbanizations and stuff, we have like paella contests, and they have foam parties and color parties for the kids. They do that in the city, which is really fun for the little
So
kids.
you have to explain to me what is a phone party, and maybe to other people because I don't know what is a phone party and a color party. What are those? Are
Super
those
fun.
separate or is it the same? Or is it
No. They have to
one?
happen separately. But one is
Okay.
they just have those big machines that just pump out foam, and
Okay. Like
so
bubbles.
like bubbles,
Like
just like you're in a big bubble bath
okay.
without the water, right? There's bubbles and bubbles and bubbles, and it's done on like a concrete like football pitch or something in the city center where they have like a
Okay.
area, and they basically just put up these massive foam machines, and then everyone just is running around in the foam machine, like in all the foam and everything. And then the
Wow.
color
Okay.
parties are, I'm sure you've seen pictures of this somewhere, whereas the city makes all these like balloons with different colors inside them, and they have bags and bags and bags of these balloons, and you throw them at people and they explode and you get color powder all over you. So you come out of that with just like color all over you.
I have never heard of such a
Yeah,
crazy,
and then
pointless thing.
if you're it's pointless and super fun. Like, it's so fun for the kids, and it's like, so what she does is she goes around and she finds all the pink balloons, because then she gives them to me and she wants to be hit only with the pink balloons, right? But generally speaking,
Okay.
everyone's just getting whatever color they want, and it's organized by the city. They bring in the little color bombs, and everyone's just throwing them at each other, and it's really
So
fun.
on your way home, do you just strap your child to the roof of your car, or
Totally.
like
Change your clothes. You have to be
Okay.
prepared. Yes, you have to be prepared. You should wear a white t-shirt so that you can see the colors on you. And it's all over your hair and everything. It's really fun. And everyone's doing it. It's not just for kids. Everyone's involved.
Okay, random question. Do they have sprinklers like we did in the States? Like crazy sprinklers that move around and kids jump around? Have you seen that in your country life?
I've done that at our pool. We have a slide that has a sprinkler on it, and we put the sprinkler up and we do that. But no, I haven't seen that like in a public place. And in fact, in America,
Okay.
there were a lot of where we live, because it was quite a hot place. I mean, in the summer they had a lot of kids parks and playgrounds that, I don't know if you had that, with which had little sprinklers and little, they
Or
weren't
in the
quite
jumping waters.
they weren't quite
thing?
water
Yeah.
parks, but they were like wet playgrounds kind of, and the sprinklers and maybe some things.
I think they are in this city here. I haven't seen them, but I feel like I've run across a picture somewhere, but I don't know. I'm sure at those water park pools, the mini water parks, the city pools probably have those.
Maybe. I just stand there with a hose and hose down anybody that wants to be hosed down. That's how it works in our house.
So classy.
Oh, I know. It's amazing. Yeah. Speaking of water, though, the other thing which I haven't done. So what you can do to it, this is another thing you really need a car for. So they have a lot of places up in the mountains where you can drive to, and then you hike down to these water little I don't know what they call them, like little water ponds,
like spring-fed water hole things.
And water hole.
And don't some of them even have waterfalls? And the reason why you might denote some bitterness as my voice is because I've seen pictures and I've read about them, and I have yet to go. And someone I know has a car and could take us. I'm just saying.
We could. I will say, one of the things is you have to be prepared for, possibly in most cases, I think, a little bit of a hike to get to it. But what is nice is, and I will say, none of the ones that I've been to have looked like the pictures, okay? So when they have maybe I've just been to the wrong ones, wrong time of year, I don't know. But these ones where you see it, it's like all this clear blue water and all this kind of stuff. They've never really looked like that when I've gone to them. They're a bit more like, I mean, the bottom is rock, so it's brown or whatever, and it's just kind of, I mean, it's not dirty, but it's nice, and that water is very cool. So that is one of the nice things about going to those places, is that water is cool, and you get a little bit of a hike out of it, because you usually have to park somewhere and then you have to hike in, and then the waterfalls as well. I would like to do a waterfall one, and that's really fun and very cool. And I think the further north you get in Spain, the cooler the waters, right? So, I mean, we have friends that go up to the north of Spain in the summer, and they're like, in the winter, the water is really an ice bath, and in the summer, it's still really quite cold. So you can escape to different parts of Spain too, and get some very nice cooler climates and fresh water as well, which is lovely. Because I would say the pools in the arts and sciences are not for swimming in, and probably not that refreshing or like. Although I did just see them clean them.
Not for swimming.
Yeah, and they were cleaning
those.
Oh my God, yeah. They have the little machines that go back and forth. Like, it's very nice and clean.
And there's one where the steps go down into the water, so you can actually like walk around that one and cool yourself off. The one
you are allowed
by the one that's by the forum. The blue building, the one that's the only one that's blue. Around there's like steps that go down the water, so you can actually walk. I mean, it's like ankle deep water. You're not swimming or anything.
No, but that's still refreshing, and that's nice to know.
Yeah,
I mean, if you were to take a picnic down there, because the Turia Park, or what we talked about, the river that I learned from our Turia Poco a Poco, I'm gonna say this correctly. If you go down to the river, and take your picnic, and there's loads of shaded areas to have a really nice picnic, and if there's a place to kind of cool off a little bit, that's quite nice, I think.
And the park is alive in this heat because there is so much shade there, and the city itself has a lot of trees, but I do notice in some of these smaller towns, it's surprising how very little trees are on some of these streets. They're very,
It's true.
you
Yeah.
really need to escape to escape the heat somehow, right? So,
Yeah. And
and of course there's the beaches, right?
we haven't
There's
even
people go to the
got to the
beaches.
beaches yet.
We
Like,
haven't
yeah.
got to the beaches yet. I mean, what I find surprising, what I thought, and I may have, I know we've talked about this, is that to me what's surprising about Valencia when I moved here is that this is a city on the beach, but it is not a beach town, as in like a beach resort town,
No.
like you would find like in Malaga or even up in Sitges. It's not that kind of vacation area. And the towns north and south of Valencia on the coast are really these summer places. They're not year-round places. So, I mean, you go
Completely
there in the
dead.
winter, no
Yeah.
one's there. If people live there, they might be the only one in their whole high-rise building there all winter long. But then you go in the summer and it's these like lively towns, but there still aren't like beach chain hotels and beach resorts. It's really
No.
for the Valencianos and maybe foreigners that own condos there. But it is a place you go vacation, but not like live it up, as it were. It's not a resort town.
No, definitely
Right?
not. No, it's you're absolutely right. Like it's kind of bizarre. Like you're right.
Mhm.
There's no beach vibe here, really. That's not what you get. But so even up, like we're just north of the city, but the beaches that we go to that are maybe 15-20 minutes from the city, right? So if you were to
Mhm.
take a bus out to the city, you're out to the beach, you're going straight to the beach that's like right at the city. We're just going to the ones a
Mhm.
little bit north, and both the towns, all the three of the towns that we would go to, which is El Puig, Puthal, and Sagunto, all three of those towns have a town part, and then the autovia goes through, and on the other side of
Mhm.
that, which you'd have to drive or take a bus, it's not walkable for the most part, is another part where it's just the beach. So if you were to live year round
Mhm.
in one of those towns, more likely than not, you're living in the town area away from the beach. And the beach is for
Mhm.
condos. They might have one supermarket. Anything that's open there restaurant wise is probably closed during the winter, or at least
Mhm.
for some of it. And then it's very, yeah, it's very just like you live there. People live there in the summer. They have their condo there. They go there. You can go there in the summer and go to the beach, and there's some stuff there, but it's not crazy beach vibe. Not at all. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's
It's
nice.
very interesting to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice, but I was like, the American in me is like, this is a missed capitalistic opportunity.
Absolutely, that's what it
How is
looks
that
like.
3 Westin hotels here, right?
That's what it looks like. But it's really nice because you can just pop down there, and we drive down, and actually one of the towns, El Puig, has a really big, for an outside of the city, little sort of festival in the summer where they have like the food trucks come in and they have all the stuff going on, and that's right on the beach, and it's and at night
Mhm.
they have bands and stuff playing, and then in Sagunto there is a carnival, one of those little one of those places where you buy the cotton candy and spend far too much money trying to do rides
Mhm.
and things like that. So they have that, like, and so a
And
lot of
throw a
these.
beer bottle off a shelf,
Yeah,
shelf,
yeah,
one of
exactly.
those darts that for a balloon that's never gonna pop. Yes, I
Yeah,
know that. I've spent many a money there. Yeah.
we've
Mhm.
done those things yeah. So all these towns have all these things going on in the summer too, but just going to the beach. And I will say, we've talked about this before, that there's a point in the summer where the water is very warm, like almost not
Yes.
really not that refreshing,
Not not refreshing at all. I would
but
say
still
not
delightful,
refreshing
and
at
I'm
all.
still happy, still not complaining that I'm living near the Mediterranean.
Mhm.
But if you spend time you'd have to. I'm not someone that goes to the beach and lays out on the beach and gets hot. I need shade because I just get too hot.
Mhm.
And for me, so therefore I have to bring a lot of stuff to the beach to enjoy the beach, because I got to bring something to sit on. I got to bring an umbrella. And then if you get too hot, you can kind of jump in the water. But then if you're in the water, you're getting like a ton of sun. So like there are people, and there's people that come with tents
Right.
and places to eat and chairs and tables, and they spend the whole day there with the kids or whatever, and they're making a whole day out of it, and they've got a full-on thing going, and it's awesome to
Yeah,
see.
it's awesome. But that's not me. I'm a backpack, a blanket, and a beach towel and some sunscreen.
Yeah.
That's how we do. But yeah, the beaches themselves don't provide a lot of shade, and the water's not warm. But if you wait out, you
Mm-hmm.
get to the cool
Yeah.
water for
And I
sure.
will say,
Um,
I read something that I hope is true. We'll have to maybe fact check it. That the beaches, all the beaches in Spain are public. There are no private beaches. Even if you have a beach in front of like a 5-star hotel, it's still a public beach. So
Mm-hmm.
all of the coastline of Spain is accessible, which I think is a really
That
nice
does
thing.
not surprise me.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's really cool.
that's wonderful, and it doesn't surprise me. And also, people escape. I know there is no shade, but people do escape to the beach here all night long, right? So
Mm-hmm.
they're escaping the heat too at 7 o'clock at nights when they're going to the beach to cool off, and they still
Yeah.
go in the water. And what's very exciting here, as we talk about, it's not like a beach town, but they have all these beach bars that are only opened during the kind of summer months, like in the middle of the sand, not on like the sidewalk
Right.
area where there's a bunch of restaurants, but they will have them in the middle of the sand, and
Mm-hmm.
they might rent out the beach chairs and stuff. But then these things are lively all night long with their stringed lights
They're
around. It's
so
quite
cute.
the
And they just pop them up.
hmm
Like, and they spend a week just, I mean, it's just like wooden walls and stuff. And then they put everything in there and they
hmm
just pop them up, have them there for the summer. They're on the beach. You can get, yeah, you can get a drink, ice
hmm
cream, not a lot more. I mean, it's just your basics. But it's
right.
awesome. Yeah. I love that. And when you start seeing those popping up in this, in sort of probably a little bit before now, like probably maybe a month ago or a few weeks ago, you're like, okay, the summer's coming, right? Like it's an indication
Right.
too that
Yes.
they're popping up, and I love that. Yeah. And it does allow you, going back to what you said about some of these beaches not having a lot of restaurants and things along the beach, and they have most of these beaches will have promenades where you can walk, but it's like it's homes and apartment buildings. So
Right.
these little beach huts will kind of give the drinks and the things that people need when they're on the beach, which is awesome, I think, as well.
I do love the beach here in the summertime. Not gonna lie. I mean, it's hot, it's the water, but like just the culture of it. And then and again, you get on the bus and and the people are getting off the bus. So I just love that it's just ongoing. That there isn't like a traffic jam to leave at 6 p.m. Like there's
Yeah.
a traffic jam still trying to get in. Do you know what I
So
mean?
so
Like
yeah, no, it's
it's
amazing.
active.
Yeah, we went down because we went down to take Blaze for a walk, and we were down there around 7:30 in the morning, I think, in one of our little beaches, and people were
hmm
already there with all their stuff and going in the water, and I was like, oh my god, this is how it's done. You go first thing in the morning when it's super early, the sun hasn't really started to get crazy hot. You're not
right.
crazy hot yet. The water's probably quite delightful at that hour in the morning. And then when people really start showing up, you're like, time to pack up, time to go home. And you got the rest of the day ahead of you.
Right.
So I was like, this is how I want to do it. Because sometimes I like going at the end of the day, maybe around 5 o'clock or something, but I don't always feel like it
hmm
then. I'm like, my whole day is I'm like, oh
Right.
my God, now we got to go to the beach and we got to drag our stuff and So I was like, you know what? I
Right.
think this
Right.
morning thing might be the way. I'm gonna try that this summer and see.
I would like to say we try, but we have a hard time getting up in the summertime. We're still just we're still in like coming down from being off of school mode, and so I'm getting up at 10, and my kids are getting up at noon.
Okay, so this
So
would not work for you. But when you have a dog that's probably gonna
not
wake
at
you up
all.
because they didn't realize that school is over, and they're like, "Oh, don't you usually wake up at 7:30? This is now what you should wake up right now." So you're like, "Okay, well, get going." And
Right.
there's work to do, there's things to do, so I feel like we can probably get up early and give it a shot, because we also need the siesta in the afternoon, right?
We need the siesta, yes.
Well,
We
I
need
think
the
that
siesta.
I think that kind of covers sort of how we spend our summer. I think if you're not escaping to a cooler climate, or what turns out to be not a cooler climate, it kind of covers what's going on
That's
in
how we
Valencia.
survive.
Yeah.
And I would like to add a final note to escaping the heat in the summer. The gelato here is some of the
Oh
best in
my
the world.
gosh, yes.
Just gonna say it, and they're everywhere. And I feel like in the summertime, these gelato places, they're open till 2 o'clock in the morning, and it's like a nightclub. They're packed with
I'm
families and
sure.
people. But I mean, like you go at 1 o'clock in the morning, and the place is jam packed because people are like, I need that little bit of ice cream to go back before I go back home.
Oh my gosh.
it's
Well,
it's quite
we have a
exciting.
little bit of an issue with the ice cream, which is starting to get better, which is that they don't do toppings here really. And then maybe in the city it's a little different. But even there we've been to places where they don't even have sprinkles. And we're
hmm
very serious about our sprinkles, okay? So going and getting ice cream and not having sprinkles to put on the ice cream is a little bit of an issue. We're starting to see it
It
more
sounds
and
like
more.
a personal problem.
It is.
But I can show you, I can point you to some gelato places in the tourist areas of town that have
Right?
that have sprinkles. Yes, that have more toppings.
But this is the
What I will
problem.
say is, some of these gelato places have so many flavors that all your toppings are like in the flavors. Right?
I still want sprinkles. You know, it just makes it look pretty and fun and festive. And, you know, I'm like, I want sprinkles on my ice cream. But yeah, you're right. Some of the flavors maybe don't warrant that. But when you've got the kids going around and they're looking for that, and then their face when they're like, yeah, you can have the ice cream, but there's no sprinkles. It's like, oh my God, again, really? Like I said, not a big issue.
I think you spoil your kid too much, because we do not get sprinkles in our house.
What's wrong with you? That's
You're just
bad.
figuring that out?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That's true. Just one more thing that I have to add to the list of things that's weird.
Yes, oh well. Well, on that note, enjoy your summer, enjoy the heat, and I look forward to seeing you back in Spain soon.
I think we have some Gran Feria activities to attend to, so hopefully we'll get to that. Looking forward to it, and we'll see you later. Bye.
Hasta luego. Hey, can't get enough of us? Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Spain Podcast.
And on our website, ourspain.com, which we will be updating with exciting new things as we grow.
We would love for you to message us with any topics you would like to hear about.
See you next time.
Bye.